So I'm going to just go ahead and give the thought for the day only once today. You know, I don't like nostalgia. You know, people, you look back, and sometimes it's sentimental, and maybe it's affectionate. Maybe it's you look back and, wow, isn't that great? Remember those days? Yeah, I don't like it that much because, you know, if you're looking back, you're not here. You're not today. And so like with Jesus, I don't like nostalgia with Jesus. You know, wow, he was amazing. You know, 2,000 years, wow, you know, he walked on water and he cured the leper. And wow, he turned water into wine. He's amazing. That's nostalgia. If Jesus isn't about today, it doesn't make any difference. And so the challenge, of course, is always to take seriously what Jesus took seriously. Inclusion, nonviolence, unconditional loving kindness, and acceptance. So we take those things seriously today, and that's what matters, not about being nostalgic about yesterday or what happened 2,000 years ago. One of my great heroes is the civil rights legend John Lewis, who's currently a congressman. He always says, get in the way. And I like get in the way because that's sort of what we're called to do. That's what taking seriously what Jesus did seriously means. You know, so when people want to draw lines, you get in the way and you erase those lines. When people want to draw and set up camps, us and them, you go, no, you get in the way. And you say, no, we're going to dismantle camps so that there's only us and there's no them. When people want to, I don't know, you know, ban Muslims or build walls, you get in the way and you say, no, that's not who we are. And that's important to get in the way. So last week I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was given a bunch of talks, and I was free one afternoon. So I went to the National Civil Rights Museum, and I'd never been to Memphis before. And the museum really is the Lorraine Motel, which is the place where Martin Luther King was killed. And so they have the motel there, and even with vintage cars from back in the day, and the two stories of the you know, the motel. And then the museum is built alongside it and connected to it. So you go into all the galleries, and then you walk into the, you know, the bus where Rosa Parks sat. They even have a statue of her in the bus, seated, refusing to sit in the back of the bus. And Montgomery bus boycott and sanitation workers strike and segregation and Jim Crow. It's the whole history of civil rights in this country and the struggle. And it ends in this glass enclosed place where you can look into this room, the motel room where Martin Luther King spent his last days. So I park my car and I stand in front of the motel, and there's this iconic balcony. It's just like up there, you know, it's bars, and you see his room 306, and it has a wreath on it. And it's an iconic balcony because even if you weren't born, you have seen the pictures of Martin Luther King laughing and pointing and waving. And minutes later, he's on the ground, and the same co-workers and friends who are with him are all pointing in the direction of where they think the bullets are coming from. And I just stood there and I looked up out at the balcony, and the Chattanooga Boys Choir happened to be. They set up for kind of an impromptu recital. And I just stood there and I looked at the balcony as I'm looking up at you guys. And I just, tears are streaming down my face. And I thought, why is that? It's not nostalgia. You know, April 4th, 1968, I was in the 8th grade. I remember it vividly. I remember the image. I remember the photograph. I thought, why am I crying? It's not just loss. It's not just grief. I was thinking about you and this place and how you choose endlessly to get in the way. Just like Rosa Parks and Nelson Mandela. Gandhi got in the way of colonialism. Martin Luther King got in the way of racism. Cesar Chavez got in the way of unjust wages and practices of the growers. They got in the way. They took seriously what Jesus took seriously. And I think about how you register to vote with that nice lady who sets up the table there, or you sign the petition to end the death penalty, or you get in the way of gang banging and violence and you say, nope, not anymore. It's heroic. And I think of yesterday, David, Damon, Jose, Miguel, Erica, Pega. They went to the city council, to the committee meeting on Ban the Box, and they said, we've been to prison, we did our time, we paid the consequences, we took responsibility, and it's just plain old wrong that no one will hire us because of our past. They got in the way. They took seriously what Jesus took seriously. In the face of exclusion, they said, nope, inclusion. In the face of violence, nope, non-violence. In the face of conditions on our love, they said, no, unconditional loving kindness. And in the face of rejection, they said, no, acceptance. So I congratulate you, because just by being here, you've gotten in the way, in the same way Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Cesar Chavez and Rosa Parks did. You got in the way. You're taking seriously what Jesus took seriously. And it's enough to make a grown man cry.